All right. So we really have moved into a new phase. The phase where we're taking this idea, this concept of vibrology, which is obviously the study of vibration. And we are looking to go into its experimental phase. So vibrology in itself is a new word. And the idea of the word is that it invokes studying, the studying of self. All is self and self is all, as Seven Boma might say, or all is atum, as Santos Bonacci might say. And the universe is relational. So what we're looking to do is we're looking to see where all of the how things interact, fluid dynamics. You know, you hear of this thing called ma'at. You hear of the term of ma'at in all ancient mythos, creation stories. Is this water, these waters, the waters of Nun. You know, these floods, for example, the universe being created from water, which we call a superfluid, which is the ether. And this ether, so essentially what we're basically saying is that matter is a reverse, is a flip of the ether, a disturbance in the ether, you could even say. And so what we're looking to do is we're looking to understand, or what I'm looking to do with this vibrology is understanding vibration and how it interacts with other vibrations, you know, force versus force, for example. And we have this from last week. I'm not going to stay on these slides for too long because I did this in last week's video. But essentially, you have this idea of us going from, let's make this bigger. There you go. It's better. So you have this idea of us going from atum, which would be the consciousness. So you've got consciousness and then you've got energy. So obviously consciousness is what we say is fundamental to the universe. So, you know, in terms of the theory, we are an idealist, or I'm an idealist, which basically means that the foundations of the universe is consciousness, which is atum, that then manifests itself energetically through ether, which then comes down into atoms, which then, you know, as the in the as above goes into the astronomy, which as the so below goes into the anatomy, which as the so below then reflects itself back out into astrology, because we are beings, we are meaning makers. So we then look at the stars from not just from an astronomy perspective, but what could they mean? We look at our body and we think, what could it mean? And so from there, you have astrology. And essentially, when you're understanding astrology, you get to, you know, scratch beneath the surface a little bit, past, you know, sun signs and rising signs, and you understand aspects. And then you understand that really the fundamental aspect of the universe is geometry. So we say that light, sound, and geometry, and you can't have light without sound, and you can't have sound without geometry, you can't have light without geometry. So these are interlinked, interdependent, as our favorite word goes. And so these geometries are understood through its aspects or vectors. And then these aspects are understood through ratios, which is our ability and our desire to see patterns, for us to want to recognize patterns. So all of these are like the trickle down hierarchy, I would say. I wouldn't say they're exactly in order, but you get the idea. You can't really get any of these without understanding the impact and interactions So how does the ether interact? How do atoms interact? That's called chemistry. How does the body interact? That's called anatomy or biology, you know, so on and so forth. So all is atom, the universe is relational. And the reason, and the last one, the reason why I ended at ratio is because I wanted to introduce the main concept of last week's topic. And again, I'm not going to go on that. It took me about 2 hours to get through 2 sections of the slide. I was on one last week. It was actually one of my most favorite episodes. I was on one. I feel a bit more chill today because I've been in my coding bag, building bag. So shout out to everyone in the chat. Shout out to everyone watching live. Peace, 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 fam. So the key is coherence. Essentially, the key is coherence. When we're saying the universe is relational, we're basically understanding vibrations, and we're basically saying that as a being, as an embodied, as a being, as a soul, as a spirit, when we speak about soul alignment, when we speak about vibrating higher to what? How do you vibrate higher? By being in coherence, by being on a level. How would you get to that level? Well, you would have to understand aspects, which allows you to understand levels. You would then have to understand, shout out to Queen of Moods. Peace, love, and light to you, family. Peace, love, and light. So you would have to understand aspects, and you would have to understand ratios. So I remember you was there last week, Queen of Moods. So I'm only going to spend a couple minutes just for the people that are going to be watching this, because we're going to be moving into step 2 and phase 2. It's definitely a continuation of last week's conversation, basically. And so what we're basically saying is that the 440 wave file is decoherent, is destructive. It doesn't have any patterns. It doesn't really have any symmetry. It is essentially chaos. And so in order to grow, you want to be coherent. You want to be coherent. You want to understand that your chakras relate to each other. So last week I dropped an interesting coincidence about how these numbers show that the universe is relational. When you look at these frequencies of the 417 being a reflection of the 741, or what we call a resonator. So when you add up this number and you add up this number, it will come down to the same root in numerology. Same with the 528 and 852 and then 396. So I spoke about that last week, and that was just something that I saw. We'll skip this here as well. And so we go into the harmonics. We go into the harmonics, and essentially you want to understand ratios. So when we're looking at ratios, we basically understand that the universe is music, the music of the spheres. And so this is what I've been doing. I've been building these tools. So last week I actually forgot, literally I got off the call last week after a 3.5 hour live stream, as I normally do, and I realized I didn't even show the tool that I built last week. It was so funny. I actually didn't even show the tool. So this week I will be obviously showing the tool. I've been adding more tools that I've just found on the deep dark web. When I mean dark, I don't mean illegal, I just mean obscure. Literally channels that don't have any views, but doesn't matter. We go for quality, not quantity. So when you understand the universe in its harmonic tones, essentially what we're looking to do is we are looking to be very specific and work out how we can use these tones, these frequencies, these vibrations for healing, and to move into the 5th dimension, how to tap into our spirit. That's why, there would need to be a use for these things. And so for me, the theory is your ability to live in coherence. Do you feel more coherent today than you did yesterday? Do you feel more aligned? Do you feel more resonant? Do you feel more in touch with your body, with your universe, with your mind, with your health, for example? And so all we've done basically, and I'll just get out some tools now. So as I said, I'm not going to be on for too long today. I feel like I'll do like an hour or so. So this basically, I would say, is the first introduction, or maybe second introduction into where we combine. So everything that we do on this channel, if this is your first time viewing, is to look at everything from an omnidirectional, a multi-directional perspective, a multi-dimensional perspective. So this is just in acknowledgement that we are multi-dimensional beings. And so when we're looking at solutions, ways of being, we have to look at it from many different angles, so we can make sure that we are layering up and seeing the texture, the feeling the texture of life. And so what this is basically is the base set program and geometries that allow us to map astrology into sound. And so the tool that I basically built that I'm about to show you, which is here. So this is the world exclusive. So the tool that I'm about to show you, which is still, I would say, a work in progress, but it does actually work. But I'm, this is me, so I want to add on things to it. And as usual, it is what it is. It's in Excel, and so that basically means that your eye is going to be soaring. It's going to be a bit of an eyesore. And so, essentially there's two parts to this. One, these records are for people that are interested in these things from a theoretical perspective, but then also what I'm hoping for is to get a portion of my listening audience and whoever watches these videos to get in contact with me and start building together. So that's just like literally happened today. Someone was speaking about a meditation. Basically, someone wants to do group meditations. So I'm part of a Telegram group, and they were talking about the fact that there is something called the Heart Math Institute, and the Heart Math Institute they used to do these prayers at a certain time every single day, and they literally used to affect, because they've got measuring devices. So the Heart Math Institute have measuring devices that can measure the consciousness of the planet. So for example, I don't know if anyone heard, but when 9/11 went off, they were able to record, the Heart Math Institute were able to record the shockwaves of consciousness, their consciousness metrics. There was a peak and there was a dip at 9/11. So, this has been studied. This has been out for like 10-15 years. They've got hundreds and hundreds of proofs of that. And obviously, we're affected by all fields, including the Schumann resonance. So, a few weeks ago, there was a lot of solar flares, for example. We're affected by things like that. So again, you might be arguing with your partner and be thinking that they're acting crazy, or maybe you're acting crazy, or maybe you're both acting crazy. And you're only focused. Imagine a scenario where you're only focused on the temperature of the room, as in it's your fault because you were like this. Whereas how much do these solar flares really affect our energy? I speak to hypersensitive people. I myself am not that hypersensitive, but I do speak to hypersensitive people, and they really do get affected by these solar flares, for example. They really do get affected by negative energy, for example. They get drained, is often the term. They're not able to hold space in ways that people who are not hypersensitive are. And so they feel everything. And essentially, you could argue I don't want to be ridiculously specific with it, but you can argue that if you weren't becoming, I would basically say that a biomarker, that an indicator of spirituality is your ability to become more sensitive. That doesn't mean that all hypersensitive people are high vibrational spiritual people. I'm not trying to say that. But I would say that if you are dense and you have no receptivity, again, talking about these senses, if there is not an aliveness of you to these energies, then, it would be questionable in terms of how far along you potentially think you are, in your spiritual development, basically, you know. So, all right, cool. So yeah, basically, as usual, these tools are tools that I will be using on clients. They're not necessarily for the public, but these are the tools that I built. So it's just a sneak peek, like I said. And essentially what you've got here is obviously you've got the notes that are linked to the star signs and to the suns. And then you're looking at the relationship between planets, because at some point we're going to look at aspects. So at some point we're going to look at the aspects. So, what does a square look like? Or what does an opposition look like? So when B minor is opposite to, so when a planet in A minor, sorry, F minor is opposite to a B minor, well then those two planets are potentially in opposition if they're at 180 degrees. So we want to basically know whether those two planets like each other. Do they like each other? Are they best friends? And so all of these relationships have to be basically mapped out. Essentially what I'm looking to do, by the way, just to be clear again, in terms of what you're looking at, for people that didn't hear my class last week, the YouTube video last week, is I'm basically at the very least, the very first output, the reason why I built all of these was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tools, or put these six tools together, is because I wanted to work out your frequency. I had this hypothesis that everyone has a signature frequency, and someone gave me a methodology in which to do it, which was through astrology. And so, I basically built this tool. So this is like the base tables. I'm not going to go through any of this stuff really, other than the actual just overall talking about the table. This is a comparison table that obviously that compares the astrology to the musical notes. And you can see the frequencies there, essentially, and the notes that they are as well. So that's going to be important for music. And then we've then got a quick reference guide. So when you're playing the note C, what is that saying to the universe? What is the call to the universe when you are speaking in the note of C? Remember, the universe is taking note. It's a notation. The universe is taking note of what you say. The universe is taking note of how you speak. Your tone. Watch your tone, boy. You better watch your tone. So, C is the I am. The I am is Aries. You see how that works. Aries is what? Self. It's all about the self, the life force, the foundation. Yeah, that makes sense. So all of these are going to be linked to notes, but then they're also going to be linked to emotions. They're also going to be linked to emotions. They're also going to be linked to chakras, to tarot cards. All of these things are going to be linked. So again, this is what I do. I'm an omnidimensionalist, an omniist, as it could be called as well. So I'm an omniist, and an omniist is just someone that's into synchronicity, or a syncretist, someone that looks to connect all the dots. That's literally what I feel one of my major roles in this earth time space is to basically continue the work of the giants that have stood before me. Shout out to Santos Bonacci again, who All is Atum, who speaks about All is Atum, who's one of my favorite syncretists that got me into this game. Now, I spoke last week. This one's a bit deep, so you just got to be patient. If you weren't here last week, then let me see if I can go to something a bit less sorry. Let me see if we can get here. Let me see what we've got. So let's go back to the top. All right. So I've been getting into something called vibrational astrology. So vibrational astrology. So vibrational astrology is basically built on the idea that everything is relational, which is why I love it. That's why I had to follow it because they were like, right, everything is vibrational. So normally in astrology, you only follow the 5 to 6 aspects. You know, most people that are into astrology follow conjunctions, oppositions, squares, and trines. I don't know why injunct is therefore as the major 4th. Like trine is definitely more popular than a in conjunct. And so we're looking at the relationships, and then this guy called John Addy comes along in 1977 and writes this book called Harmonic Astrology, which is basically being inspired by like Plato and, you know, some other people, essentially taking the birth chart and chopping it up in multiple degrees, in many degrees. So what they're basically saying is that you can take these charts and turn them into, you can look at the charts from different aspects, from different perspectives, or what we will call dimensions. So this video, again, as a reminder, is how to use your 6 senses to go to 5D. Astrology is scary, you know, in terms of its accuracy. You know, I've been doing readings long enough, and it's scary. What I will say about astrology is you know, it's scary. I'll just say it's scary. This is not a sell for astrology for anyone to get a reading. If you want a reading, get a reading. You know, you contact me. It's no big deal. But essentially, it's scary how accurate it is. But its accuracy comes from a perspective of chopping up the birth chart into 12. Why do we only use 12 constellations when assessing our birth chart? That's a conversation for another time, but basically there's 88 constellations in when we look at space. You know, the star maps, when you download those apps, there's 88 constellations. So why is it that we only focus on 12? You know, I'm not gonna answer that. I do know the answer, but the whole point is, why not 5? Why not 6? Why not 29? Why not 342? Why do we not break up the birth chart into 342 separate sections? You know, these are questions that require thoughts. There are answers to these, and speculations and ideas for a curious mind, but I don't want to watch my video from last week. I did actually go into it for like 5 or 10 minutes. But essentially, what harmonic astrology tries to do is just speak about the principle that every single planet has a degree of a relationship. If it's in your birth chart, it's resonating somehow. And so how? So even that 72-degree relationship that Mars has between Saturn means something, because your whole life is meaning, and all relationships have meaning. It's just that maybe some are more important than others. But it's not to say that your father is, it's almost like saying that your parents are always going to be the most important people in your relationship, in your life. Like these squares, these oppositions, these, you know, these 5 archetypes. Yeah, in most cases, they may be, but not in all cases. How would that work for foster children or people that have been adopted, for example? You know. So when we look at a harmonic chart, I'll just show you what a harmonic chart looks like. real quick. All right, let me show you a harmonic chart. What will be called? All right, so you can go to a harmonic chart and just download it for free. So we're just going to calculate. It doesn't really matter what we calculate. So when we're looking at a harmonic chart, basically, we're saying that your birth chart, so this would be your birth chart. So imagine this was someone's birth chart. If we were, so right, look, so Jupiter is opposite Saturn right now. Yeah, so that would be in opposition. So let me just do something quickly. Saturn. So now let's look for Saturn. Let's look for Saturn there, and then let's look at Jupiter. Blind as a bat. Yeah, it is there. So Saturn and Jupiter are right there. So now we've cut the chart in two. Basically, what we've done is we've looked at the 180 degrees. We're looking at the oppositions. So we're looking at, so the number 2 harmonic chart looks at oppositions. Yeah, because half of 360 is 180. So what was now, what was its opposite on a 2 harmonic chart now becomes its conjunction. This is basically the mathematics of a harmonic chart. That's why I was just looking for an opposition really quickly, because I knew that on the 2 chart, it would be a conjunction. Same with the trines. So basically what you're looking at, so when you're looking at your second harmonic, you're looking at the oppositions. How does your chart look like from an opposition perspective? So this will speak to opposition. When you're looking at a trine chart, or when you're looking at a third dimension chart, we're looking at the triangles. We're basically looking at the relationship. So again, something in your chart number 1, which is basically your birth chart, something that was a trine or 180, that's something that had a 180 degree relationship in your trine, now becomes in your third harmonic. It would become a conjunct, i.e. 2 planets being together. So that's basically how it works all the way up. The mathematics doesn't change. And so what we're basically doing is we're basically saying that each one of these harmonics tells a different story within yourself. So the deep thing for me is, anyone that watched my call last week, like last week's video, I hadn't really had much time to play with the harmonic. I was just studying all week about the principles and how to read a chart, but I didn't actually even do a reading on myself. I was just so busy, with the study. And then I did live on the call. I looked at my own chart, and it was mind blowing. it was mind blowing. It was mind blowing. So again, I don't want to, because basically what we're saying is, if you're just looking at the birth chart, it's almost looking at chapter 1 of the book and thinking that's your whole story. That's what the equivalent is. So each one of these harmonics is a dimension, or you looking at your physical aspect and thinking that you have no consciousness, because you can only feel what you see. You see what I mean? So we're saying that these harmonic charts allow you to peel back the layers to the different aspects of your dimensions. And essentially, when I show it next week, from next week, I'll be able to show you which chart you resonate with the most. So when I'm going to be doing readings in the future, I'm obviously going to be looking at your birth chart, but then I'm also going to be looking at the chart that has the most aspects, the chart that has the most relationships in it, in terms of here. So there will be a chart that will have like twice as many of these relationships, for example, and that chart is going to be significant in your life. And then we're going to do a reading from that, basically. So that's essentially what harmonic astrology is. So when we go back to this tool is just allowing me to understand the different ratios based on music, based on up to 32 different harmonics. So we're going to be looking at your chart from 32 different dimensions, and each one of these dimensions is also a note, is also a tone, is also a frequency, is also a ratio. Do you see what I'm doing here? Yeah. what I'm building is mad. I ain't even gonna lie. What I'm building is mad. When I finish this, it's not gonna take me too long, in fairness, but I'm not gonna go ridiculously advanced with it. Like, this is already gonna be beyond most people, but it's not about it. What it's beyond. Again, you know, I could train to be a doctor. I don't need to teach you my 7 years of me being a doctor. You just come in and I can heal a broken heart, or, you know, put a plaster on, or whatever we do when we're a doctor. So this is kind of the behind the scenes stuff. This is not for you to really learn and work out. If you do, you know, we can teach this stuff, but quite honestly, I don't really feel like most people are going to want to go to the level of detail that I do. You know, that's going to be that as usual, that 1% of the audience. So I'm keeping the kind of just overview stuff, and just some more tables. I'm not even going to go through this stuff. It's just more base tables, and then here we look at the relationships. So this is important basically when it comes to aspects. So we look at the relationship between the sun and the moon, and we're like, okay, that's really good. If your sun and your moon were together, we're going to have a positive score. Whereas if your sun was opposing if your sun was next to your Saturn and your sun, that would be a negative score if those two were in opposition. So we're basically given rankings. This is a way in which we can rank the relationships. So the universe is relational, but doesn't mean that all relationships are equal. And so what we're looking at is we're looking at the different relationships. That then allows me to come up with a total score. That's all you need to know. That this chart allows me to come up with a total score based on your birth chart, or also then maybe in the future based on your harmonic chart. So I can see me building. I just thought of an idea. It's so dangerous. But basically, I can see me building a algorithm, a calculator that will allow me to work out a total, to allow me to work out your score, which dimension, and also what score that is in comparison. So I just spoke about my ninth harmonic chart was ridiculously powerful and had so many amazing connections in it that just showed me my life from a completely different perspective, but was something that I resonated with completely. And I wouldn't have been able to get that from my birth chart. And so it would be nice if I could build a tool. And I've already been looking into it, so I'm going to be doing this over the weekend, most likely. I'm going to be looking into building a tool that will just automatically rank which one of the 32 charts you have is going to be the most resonant with your body. Hopefully that makes sense. Has the most relational aspects, has the most relationships in it. Yeah, so hopefully you guys are following me. Again, as usual, any questions, let me know. Put them in the chat. I haven't been looking at the chat because I was using this thing for this. So let me go back to the chat now. "13 star signs." All right, yeah, let me go to the chat now. Yeah, so 13 star signs. Yeah, so shout out to Queen of Moons. So as I've always explained, there are 88 constellations. So this is where basically when people are talking about 13 star signs, to my mind, I would say that they have, if I'm being harsh with it, because I'm in that mood, I would say that they have a lack of understanding of ratios. That's what it shows me. If someone is speaking about 13 stars and 13 constellations, it means they have either a lack of understanding of ratios and astrology, or they don't like anything that's attached to the West, and so they feel more comfortable with the number 13. They just resonate more with the number 13. When they hear 13 star signs, something in them makes it more resonant, that it makes more sense to them, and that speaks to the heart. So there's no way that goes beyond logic, and the logic may be anything that's associated with the West must be tarnished. So, you know, I understand that. I'm comfortable with that as a mindset. I would say from a geometrical perspective, 12 makes more sense because it's easily divisible into harmonic ratios. As you, when it comes to ratios and aspects, working with the 12 is much more easy. Yeah. So when you're working with the number 13, it's just a more awkward number. You know, it's a prime number. It doesn't really divide. You can't half it into a whole. Literally, you know. So with the 4, with the number 12, just from with the number 12, let's be real clear. You can get a square from it, which is 3 times 4. You can get a trine from it, which is again the relationship of 3s, which is 4 divided by 3 or 3 divided by 4, you know, whichever one. You can get a half from it, which is the oppositions, which is the 6. When you put it down the line, okay, you get 6 on one side and 6 on the other. So with that 12, you've got 4 of the 5 major you got 4 of the major aspects. All 4 major aspects are there when you are using a 12 star signs. When you use 13, you wouldn't so easily be able to build those relationships intuitively, I would say. Now, obviously this stuff is kind of ingrained in us. So who knows if we built a 13 chart, how that would have changed, you know, our psychology. But we are where we are right now. So I would say psychologically wise, and that's why you might want to move to a 13 star sign system. You know me, I'm an omniist. I'm a multi-dimensionalist. I'm using them all. I'm saying that 13 is no better than 12, and 12 to my mind now is no better than 9, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1. This is the level that I'm going with it. This is what's just blown my mind over the last couple of weeks. Just absolutely blown my mind because this is just the way I think naturally. So obviously I've had to gravitate to this system, and to see it in real time with my own birth chart, that was just mind blowing, quite honestly. So also as well, just remember there's 88 constellations. So why are we not breaking the chart down into 88? You know, why are we not mapping out all 88 star signs and putting those into archetypes and then putting that into a birth chart? You know, these are questions. You know, all of these pertain to psychology. All of these will have an effect on our psychology. That's what I will say. It will have a direct impact on your psyche, i.e. your mind state. And so, you know, I would say gravitate to what works with your mind state is what I would say. All right, cool. So where was our relationship? So yeah, these are the relationships anyway. So this allows me to basically come up with a relationship calculator, and I can give an overall score. So I can give a score for individual relationships, and I can give a score for, I can get a total score from this. And this is what my app, my Soul Note app is built off of. So this is an old table that I just updated actually, just for the purpose of this. This again just allows for more relationships. And this is basically allowing me to come up with the relationships and put these things into score. So this was basically my actual birth chart that I put in here, and then I got a score for it basically. What is this now? I can't remember what this is. Oh, this is biocoherence. All right, cool. So yeah, I did show this last week as well. So this is biocoherence. Obviously this is the biofeedback app that I've been speaking about for a while. I'll just let it load up in the background. Might take a few seconds. We'll just go into any record. So what we're basically saying is we can take your astrological data and map that into frequencies and map that into notes on a piano or on a keyboard or any instrument. You know, all instruments are tuned. Yeah, cool. Then we can take your energetic details and we can convert that into music as well. So all of those frequencies within your body are calculated in this app. So we'll be able to pull off the data. Yo, yeah. When they get their API, in it, Darren. So yeah, inside joke. So anyway, so yeah, this company basically are at some point going to be releasing an API, which basically means that you can get into the back end of their data. That's essentially what it means. And once that happens, I'm going to be like a kid in a candy store. So at the moment, I can only see a rough average. Like that looks like what? It looks like my F long term was, what's that? 81%, I think, or is that 71%? 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't even know. Just what I mean. I've actually got to work that out, you know. But obviously, I work with specific data, so I would want to know the number exactly. You know, I would want to know the number in exactly, like what is the percentage that within my body, the tone, the F tone, the F note is being played within my body. That's essentially what we're doing here. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell them about that bug. So yeah, we want to understand the different notes within our body, and we can see it here. So what I'm basically saying is I can see if we're just starting to join the dots. I'm going to be joining the dots like tool by tool basically, and then I'll give you guys an overall picture, which I spoke about in the intro. So when we now have the as above data in the sound harmonics, we've now got in these, then we've now got the biofeedback, your real-time energetic biofeedback, you know, based on your body, based on your chakras, based on your acupuncture points, organs, all of that gets calculated and totaled up into these notes here and these tones, which now allows us to play about. Let's not even go about what we could do. We'll just say that that's what we're doing for now. We'll come back to like how we're going to use this stuff. Obviously, if you've got ideas, you just start to think about it now. We're just teasing at the moment. So basically, that's what this is. So this again is just another base table similar to this other base table where we had the astrology. We've now got a base table for biocoherence where we've got all of the meanings, we've got the ratios. Again, you don't need to worry about this stuff. It's just all the stuff that's in biocoherence, basically. If you do have that app, you want to download it. If you're interested in it, obviously get in contact with myself or your local distributor. So again, that converts. Then we built this other tool, which I'll show you here. Let's go here. Then we built this other tool. And this tool allows me to convert my real-time voice. No way. Why is it you can't find my transformers for? Yeah, this ain't gonna work. Why is that not working for? All my plugins are gone for this. I don't know where they are. So I am not sure. I'll have a look at that later. I'm gonna have to reinstall it. Who knows? All right, cool. Anyway, what this does is this allows me to use my microphone. I.e., you can record your voice into here, and then you'll be able to see this will convert it in when these plugins. So there should be a plugin that says convert your voice or convert any recording into frequencies and tones. So this will show you your real time voice, your pitch. There's a whole bunch of stuff that this tool does, but me specifically at the moment, I'm using it to convert into notes and 1 or 2 other things. But just to keep things real simple, convert it into notes. Obviously, we've got load in the plugins. No idea what happened there. And then what that happens. So what this is, what you're seeing now, is a data dump. So this is a copy and paste of what you're seeing as this 40-second recording, and this 40-second recording that I used when I was just speaking to my voice. So this basically outputted all of the intervals across 40 seconds. So you've got 881 different recordings across all of the notes, the 12 notes, and I've then, oh blimey, I've then totaled them up here. Yeah. I've then totaled them up here. So yeah, in this total, we can start to see averages. So we can start to see that I was mainly in F, or F was really resonant in my tone, and the tone that I lacked the most was D. And so what is D astrologically? What is F astrologically? How does that relate to, so now we're looking at comparisons, isn't it? We're looking at, so imagine a dashboard, imagine a final dashboard, which would be called something like a summary. I'm just like making stuff up now, but like, imagine a summary dashboard, which is what I'll need to do. And so I'll take the most important data from the real-time data from your reading, from your biocoherence, and from your voice. So think about what's happening. We've got the astrology, which is your as above. We've got your internal dynamics. And then we've got your projection out into the universe. Now, obviously, we can say that your energetics are also a projection out into the universe. But when we talk about your command station, you know, when we talk about the sacred word, the sword, your weaponry, you know, that would be the voice. So you can imagine a scenario. I can't wait to basically start working with people on this. Hopefully I should get my first client next week, paying client next week. That's going to test this out when I do a reading for them. And I can't wait to see whether their voice is in resonance with their body, because you could argue that the voice would be like the throat chakra, the expression of the throat chakra, and then the body would be like the expression of the heart chakra, you could say. Now I'm being kind of simpleton with it, but you could see whether these things were aligned, whether your inner universe is aligned with your outer universe and above universe. And so what we were basically saying is that the most important stat here is this one here. So this needs like a special color or something. And so this color here is your signature, is your frequency signature. So this is the sum total of all of your frequencies based on the ratios. And so even though we can obviously see that from a average perspective, I spoke the most in F, my actual average was closer to F sharp, because obviously you can see a lot of reds here. So obviously it's pushed it up more this way as an actual average. And so you can see that as F sharp. So my signature frequency is 369. Let me say that one again, people. So for anyone watching this video, for anyone who's still watching this video at this stage of time, you know, I imagine you know who Nikola Tesla is, you know. And as we said, the secrets to the universe are revealed in the 369. I am not going to do, because last week I went off on a tangent. I spoke about this hour story about how I went through some more synchronicities. You know me, I love to tell a synchronistic story. So I did a whole hour's worth of a synchronistic story last week. I can't remember what it was, to be honest. Oh, I kind of do. We're not even going to go there. Anyway, my whole point is that on the conversation last week, I was like, I can't remember where I saw the 369, but I was seeing the 369 somewhere. And because I didn't pull up this tool, I forgot that the synchronicity of where I saw the 369 was here. And so, yeah, anyway, it's fine. It's just, again, quote unquote coincidence. It's quote unquote coincidence that my signature frequency at that particular time was 369. All right, cool. So that would be the signature voice. And then, yeah, don't worry about that. I didn't really, I remember what I was doing this one, to be honest. Oh yeah, and I realized I don't think I really needed it. I think I got the data from here. So yeah, that's basically what we've built. So I've basically built this from scratch, you could say. Obviously, I'm using tools like this to get the data from and biocoherence and so on and so forth. But essentially, obviously, I've built all of these data tables. I've still got more ideas and things that I'm gonna add on to it. Like I said, I want to add the harmonic astrology into it. Basically, that's essentially what I've wanted to do. So I've mapped out how to do that. It's gonna take me about 3 hours worth of work. Harmonic astrology, harmonic astro calc. So yeah, that's my next tool for the next couple of days. And what was we doing? Oh, boom. And so yeah, like I said at the start of the video, if you was there, I was saying that similar to the week before, how I'm really not even trying to look to do these things. I'm quite busy with certain other projects at the moment, so I'm not trying to put my mind and attention to this. But just as usual, just like I can't really ignore synchronicity. I've kind of built my life. I've trapped myself. I've created my own universe, and in my universe, you listen to signs and symbols. I literally pray in signs and symbols. I ask for signs and symbols. And so, you know, I would be disrespecting my own universe if I didn't listen to it. But my monkey mind really wants to focus on a few other projects. And yeah. So it's just an interesting time I'm going through. So anyway, we basically found, so for the first time ever, remember, I'm not a coder. I know people say I feel people say like I'm like a scientist, so I'm technical. I'm really not a technical. I'm actually not technical. Obviously, everything's relative, but to me, I'm not technical. I don't have any training. I don't have any degrees. I don't have any certificates. I don't have nothing. I shouldn't even be doing this stuff, quite honestly, in my mind. I'm just audacious. So anyway, we are not going to get into this. All I'm going to say is I basically, for the first time today, that's why I was late for the thing, it's the first time today I actually installed a coding program that would allow me to build code and install programs that are based on code. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to go anything more technical than that. And so I did it, and it wasn't as hard as I thought. Obviously, I'm using ChatGPT, and it wasn't that difficult. So anyway, I've installed a couple of tools that will then allow me to take these ideas of frequencies and put them into sounds, obviously, and visuals. So geometry and sounds, and also light. But the light one, I'm not even going to show you that tool. that's a tool for another day. Like that's a tool for another day. I won't show you the light one, because that tool just looks unbelievable, and I've got some ideas around it. So anyway, let me show you what I can show you, what is actually working now. So if you want to research this yourself and you want to watch these videos yourself, you are more than welcome. I'm not trying to be a gatekeeper to any of this stuff. So I can't remember what the video was called. I might have to go into my history, to be honest. But I will try and get the link for you. Oh no, I know where it is. It's in my thing already. So yeah, basically we now move on to this slide, and this is entrainment. So as I said, binaural beats, people will induce different mind states through listening to binaural beats, sounds, essentially. This is one of the ways in which you can get your mind to go into different states of consciousness quicker than if you were to meditate. For most people, obviously advanced meditators, that's a different case. Most people are not advanced meditators. And so for the 80 to 90 to 95, probably 99% of us who are average to basic, for me, there's no, you have the ability to use tools, is all I'll say. Use them at your own discretion. And so these entrainment is a way to proactively bring on a state of consciousness by programming or hacking your brain or your state of consciousness, your mind. Yeah, that's what entrainment is. And so there is this person who, so the government came out with something called Hemi-Sync. I don't know if people know what this is, but this went viral in the spiritual world a couple of years ago, I would say. I'm just gonna we'll just go quick. Again, I've not really prepared slides for this because I've just been building today, but Hemi-Sync. All right. So there's something called the Monroe Institute. I'm not going to get into it too much, but basically there were people back in the 60s. The CIA were involved, and the CIA would work with people like the Monroe Institute to basically do things like remote viewing, for example, astral projection, remote viewing. It was basically their version of exploring quote unquote spiritual technology in order to help them do whatever the CIA need help with, basically. So you go listen to these people. Some of these people are still alive. Obviously, many of them have transitioned. There's still a few people about that were part of the original program, and this information is declassified. So Hemi-Sync is now available to the public. CIA doc, just to give you an idea. You can just go get this document yourself. You know, a lot of people have got it. It's like not really hiding anything here at the moment. But yeah, this is the document. And basically what they're saying, which is what we've known, is when you align, so soul alignment, forget soul alignment for the moment. We're talking about mind alignment. When you connect the left hemisphere of your conscious grid with the right hemisphere of your conscious grid, you create I'm just going to use the word portal, a vortex, a window of opportunity for you to project out into. And so they would often, one of their main ways was sound frequencies and lights, something called photobiomodulation, which are things that stimulate your, you could say, third eye, your dream state, your dream eye, basically. And so, yeah, I obviously am into this stuff heavily, you know, shout out to biocoherence. I also have a photobiomodulation device that can induce third eye or dream can stimulate your dream eye. You know, I've spoken about it a couple of times before, but I have these tools, I have these abilities basically. So, you know, I feel like I am well placed to take these ideas and these technologies and put my own twist on it. This is essentially what I've been doing, putting my own twist on it. That's what this app is about. It's what I'm kind of building towards with these experiences with the pyramid and so on and so forth. So yes, we're here to heal people's pain. I did some amazing healing sessions this week. Really mind blowing because obviously I'm at early stages, and you know, that will be, I would imagine, the majority of my work. But then I want to basically work with people that just want to bring on, you know, things like lucid dreaming, astral projection, you know, channeling, portals, so on and so forth. I've got the technology for that as well. This technology does both because at the center of everything is emptiness or nothingness or portals or the ether or the dielectric. So where was I? Oh yes. So yeah, you can download this document. It's online. It's declassified. You'll be fine reading it. No big deal. Where was I? Oh yes. All right, cool. So yeah, we've got Hemi-Sync. So basically, I just found this video that had about 20 views online. Like literally, it had about 20 views online. Um, it had about 20 views online. I'm gonna try and find it. And I clicked on it and it blew my mind because this guy basically has just built these whole bunch of Hemi-Sync tools that I've never seen before, and he only released them 2 months ago. So they've only been released 2 months ago, and I'm not joking. His videos, in 10 of his videos, he's got 1 like. He has like 1 like out of 10 videos. I think I liked one of them. I don't know. I think I've been 50% of his likes. And these videos just blew my mind. So let me just, without further ado, let me just show you a couple of them. I'm not going to show you the videos, obviously. So I'll show you the tools. I mean, I could almost even show you the videos actually as well. But all right, cool. This website, there you go. I got it. So yeah, if you want to check it out, go to this website called Neural Awakening. This is the YouTube channel. He's got 819 videos, 200,000 views, you know, whatever that means. And I think he's got about, yeah, that's it. Yeah, 900 subscribers. His videos are like 2 minutes long. His videos are like 2 minutes long. So where's my tools? All right, cool. Yo. Mad. Just mad. So basically, one, he's open sourced this. What open source means is that he's given the code away for free. So I've downloaded all the code and I've basically built them up on my own local computer, as in my laptop. But then he's got a couple of like finished, more polished versions of apps. So he's got 2 polished versions of apps, and this is one of the 2 more polished versions of apps that we'll look at, and then we'll look at some of the more ugly ones later. So this one you can basically put in, you can either use these presets, and so these are different brainwave states. It even tells you what it's doing to these brainwave states. So if you wanted to go into deep healing, deep sleep, when your body is at true rest, is in these states. And so you can just do that there. I don't know what's going to happen if I press this button. How this will mess up. Work with my feed. So I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear it. It takes about 5 seconds for it to come on from my memory. I don't think you lot will be able to hear this. I would have to do something. No, you won't be able to hear this. Actually, give me one more try. Focusrite USB speakers. Can maybe play it through here. All right. Hopefully we're not going to get too much feedback for it now. So you've got the visuals here, and you can change the visuals as well. Yeah, this app is pretty cool. I could definitely hear myself speaking, so that ain't gonna be great. All right. So yeah, I just wanted to, I'm not sure if, yeah, I don't know if that messed up my audio and people could hear me or whatever. I'm not sure, to be honest. We'll find out. But yeah, I tried to play it. And so the whole point is that these things are in real time. So those dots that you were seeing, those were algorithmically programmed to these frequencies, these brain waves. And so someone like myself who literally has a directory of frequencies and what frequencies do, this is really like mind blowing. that I'm able to now put. I've always wanted a Cymatics tool. I've always wanted a Cymatics tool, and I've just never really enjoyed any of them that I've been seeing, quite honestly. So this is the best Cymatics tool I've ever seen. And so yeah, this has been something that I've been searching for years, quite honestly. Like at least 7 years I've been looking for a Cymatics tool, a digital one more specifically. And yeah, this is the best. And again, they've just started, so this may iterate and get further versions. They also have it open sourced, which basically means that there's even a potential that hopefully ChatGPT is clever enough to go build me and add some stuff. So if I want to change this color to red, I can change it to red, like literally, and maybe do some more stuff with it. So there's more things you can do with it as well, by the way. There is more things, but that's mainly it. A couple more. Yeah, you can change the backgrounds as well. And so then when you're playing these backgrounds, so like you could run meditations. All right, cool. Let me give you some ideas, because you know what I'm like when it comes to ideas. I go crazy. So in here, where would it be? Let me just click on anything that would make sense. All right. So you've got biocoherence, yeah? So imagine you've got a particular organ. So we'll just click on any organ, doesn't really matter which one. We'll click on the organ for tears. Yeah, we're gonna click on the organ for tears. Look. So the organ for tears, my tears were oscillating. Cycles is an oscillation. Yeah, that's why it's in this infinity sign. My tears were oscillating at 6 seconds. Yeah. So imagine if I want to heal my tears, what would I do? I would go to this app. Obviously, I'm doing this for my clients, by the way, but you know, you can do this for yourself as well. I'd go to this app and I'd put it on 6 seconds. And so then now I've got a breathing cycle of 6 seconds. Biocoherence are going to come out in about 3 to 4 months' time. They're going to come out with their own version of Cymatics. But I know it's not going to be like this. It's going to be a bit different. It's going to be quite unique. They're going to have their own way of doing Cymatics, and it's going to be nuts, and it's going to be linked to the app. And I have no doubt it will be mind-blowing. But that's in 3 to 4 months' time. And for now, I can use this. And also I can use this on different applications as well. So I've now got a 6-second cycle that I can run with tears. And then with these tears, I then click on that. So imagine I've got the guided meditation. Yeah. So we can speak and use the guided meditation either within the app, or I could do this myself with a client, read out the guided, which is what I did on the weekend with my client. Basically, I read out the guided meditation. I just did it myself instead of using the other person's voice, because I was in the room. And I got her to breathe in a particular sequence at the time, but I didn't have the visuals. You know, I only found this today, this tool. Look at that. I didn't have the visuals. Because like I said, I've been looking for a Cymatics tool. I've been looking to add visuals. I've had 2 ideas. And both of those 2 ideas, I would say, are, I won't say have been blown out of the water, but have been matched, have been rivaled with this tool here, I would say, at the very least. Be nice if they had more fractals, in fairness, like up to 12. Be nice if they actually had up to 32. That would then match with my frequencies. That would match with harmonic astrology. But yo, that's where my mind goes to this stuff. So anyway, what is gateway? Okay, cool, fair enough. Yeah, these are so cool, man. These are so cool. Again, the guy only released this 2 months ago. I want to reach out to this person. I'm going to reach out to this person. Like, I'm getting to the level where I'm just building stuff, and I actually just want to start collaborating with people that want to build. Like, you know, I'm here to teach, I'm here to share, but the desire to build is as strong as any other desire that I have, I would say. This desire to like explore my alchemist nature is strong. So anyway, so this is the Hemi-Sync device, which I said is what the CIA used to get you to altered states of consciousness. And then you've got this device here, or this tool here, and this tool, yo. Again, quite similar to the last tool, by the way, just different. So look, we've got the frequencies. So these are the different frequencies for your chakras, or sorry, musical notes. Apologies. So these are the musical notes scales. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. You got the 5 to 8, obviously. And then what you would do basically is did we do this again? Yeah, you just build that there, innit? You can basically create your own frequency. So you can create different frequencies. I wonder how many you can add in total. Is there a limit? Yo, is there a limit? There's no limit. Is there a limit? Yo, this tool is mad. Yo. Yo, what I'm gonna do with these tools, I can't even tell. I can't even tell people what I'm gonna do with the tools because I don't know, because I've not really thought about it that much. I've got 1 or 2 ideas, and I know they're gonna mushroom. Like these 2 tools are dangerous. That's all I know. They're dangerous. So anyway, you look. So you got the 440. You got the 440 here. All right, let's try and change a few of these. So you got, I don't know, 741, and then you got 936, 936. All right, cool. And then so this is playing the frequencies at 440. So this is basically playing the movements of the different frequencies into visuals. You can change the color as well, by the way, and stuff like that. You know, it's not much customization, but you can change the color. And you can do custom tone. Sorry, no, custom tone was the tone before. These are the shape of the waves, basically. I'm not gonna get into it, but basically it's the shape of the waves. And then you can do different spins at different speeds. It would be nice to actually see this speeds in the actual number of speeds as well, because I imagine change the radius of stuff. Change the way they move. Basically, there's a few different things that you can do with customization. What's the pendulum one? So these do actually make sounds as well, by the way. It's just that. All right, let me just see if I can do the sound again quickly. But there you go. Yeah, we are about to go mad with this one, people. Like, even there, like, I'm on my laptop right now, and obviously laptop speakers are absolutely terrible, of course. But what an isochronic, what this tool does as well, is it does something called 3D spatial audio. It's like a recently newish technology that's come out in the past couple of years. If you've got the expensive Sony headphones, for example, it does it very well. and it kind of gives you a 3D experience. So just I'll go quickly. So say like I'm here. So all right, basically, imagine I'm watching a video and the TV's in front of me. If I turn my ear like this, then the speaker would be only playing on my front ear, and then at the back ear might be like a lesser sound or something, like a lower sound, because it's basically taken the direction of the source of the music. So it's 3D. Yeah. What's the basically just download these links, bro. Like, I can't even tell you the name of the look. There you go. I'm not trying to hide nothing. Like, I'm not trying to gatekeep stuff, nothing. Yo, if someone does something with these tools, please come reach out to me. Like, the amount of, like, I'm not even joking. I could violate these tools. Like, the amount of things I would love to do with these tools. If I was a coder, yo, ChatGTP needs to come through for me. That's all I can say. So but basically you have to go. So those two tools, you don't need to do any downloading. They will just work as is, I believe. Let's see if it just worked as is. Yep, that just worked as is. So look, I've just given that to everyone. I'm not hiding nothing. There you go. Boom. So you've got those two tools as is. The next tools I'm about to show you, you would need to install them on your server, and it took me 10 minutes using ChatGTP to do it. Let's say about 10 minutes per tool, I would say. Probably a bit longer, but not that much longer. All right, cool. So let's go back to here now. All right, so essentially what we're basically saying is all right, let's show you some more tools. All right, cool. So what we're basically saying is we can map sounds to visuals. I do light and sound healing. So today is obviously more of a focus on light sound healing. But like I said, I've got a light healing solution as well that I'm working on, but I'll keep that one secret for now. So all right, where are we? All right. So this tool, I can almost guarantee that this tool is how they built the first tool that you saw. So in this tool, it's a bit hard to see. You can't zoom. I don't think there's a zoom. Like, it comes out real small. I don't believe there's like a way to see this any bigger. Like, I can see it's really hard to see. I can imagine it's really hard to see for you. But basically, this gives you the raw input of what that other app done. I can almost guarantee that this tool is the base boring version, just like how I have my Excel sheets and then I, produce apps and stuff like that. This is like their boring version where you can just put in any frequency you want and you can see the shape of your tool. So let me just run it quickly. Let me just play it. I'll put in enough frequencies. These are hot off the press, by the way. I ain't gonna lie. I'm showing them pretty early. Active. I'm showing them very, very, very early. So I just want to do one or two. I want to get them all up. Display waveform. Display waveform. Look, that's the code for the tools. Display waveform. Where are you? 12. Okay, cool. You can do the 12 channels there. Yo, it's so small. All right, stop. So you can't do that when it's in stop. Okay, cool. You can't do that when it's playing. Yeah. Like I said, I'm kind of showing this stuff early. I haven't really played about with them enough. So I'm not going to stay on them for too long. Enable ISO. All right, cool. Okay, it's probably because I didn't put in any frequency. So let's just do 2.0, 4.0 there. And then there. And then that there. All right, I got bored of this tool already. But essentially, this tool will show you the different waveforms of music. It's fine. This was the tool that I probably played about with the least, in fairness. I actually didn't even touch it. So we'll just go to one that we'll go to a couple that I've touched. Pause. So, all right, cool. Yeah. This was a bit technical. I'm gonna skip this tool. I'm gonna skip this tool. This tool basically, again, it's from the same company. The same company, they built a whole bunch of tools because they're looking to set up rigs as well. Similar to myself, how I've got basically, just to be really clear, apologies, just to be really clear that they have got the same mindset as myself where they're looking to provide these experiences that are multisensory. So they've called theirs try something because they're saying free, they're using lights, they're using geometry, and they're using sound. So they've called their whole thing try something. I can't remember what they called it, but try something, obviously free. And so yeah, we're not gonna get into this tool actually. This is basically about how to do a bifilar coil, which is a Tesla coil. It's mind blowing actually, quite honestly. But I'm gonna be building products based on that tool. Like literally, I'm gonna be selling products on Etsy based on that tool. And be doing a lot of work, but I feel like it's gonna be a bit of a distraction. It's not really a sound healing tool. It's an energy, it's a frequency healing tool. That tool allows you to do frequency healing based on Tesla technology, scalar wave technology. That's what I say that tool is. If anyone is interested, I can go back to it later. This tool is another visual tool. So I've not set it up yet, but I saw them do it. Again, I've watched all the videos for these tools, by the way, just to be clear. So I'm not just randomly downloading tools for no reason. And so this tool allows you to convert any symbol. Basically, it's a symbol dictionary. So imagine you've got like a dictionary of sigils or symbols, the book of symbols, the book of sigils. Like alchemical tables are full of symbols and sigils. Hermetic tables are full of symbols and sigils. And so you would upload the PDF of a book that's got symbols or sigils. Biogeometry. Does anyone know what biogeometry is? So these are these healing symbols, let's just say, yeah. So you could have healing symbols. Say like you dreamt a symbol and you wrote it there. You could write your symbol here and it would load. It would scan every single page of that book that you loaded, or those books that you loaded. I don't know if you could do multiple books, but definitely you could do one book. I saw them load one book. And you would be able to find potentially that symbol in a book. So again, this is just the stuff that I've got already. I've got dictionaries upon dictionaries. I've got correspondence tables upon correspondence tables. I've got like 1,000 books in my own library, PDF wise, and OCR scanning wise. Sorry, an OCR is just is the ability to just scan a digital copy of a book and convert that into and be able to read that data basically. So imagine if you saw a symbol in a dream. So imagine you can do dream work now. You can look at symbols in dreams and try and draw them in here and then try and look for them in books to see if these books are, to see if these symbols are actually coming up in popular culture or just culture in itself. For example, like, do you keep on dreaming certain languages that are hidden? I won't get into it too much, but like Enochian text. So there's something called Enochian text. Again, like I said, this is going to be like a medium to advanced one because Enochian text is advanced conversations. So yeah, I'll send the links, Jax. I will send a link in a second. It's a GitHub. You need to know how to use something called GitHub. So GitHub is where they basically load up codes. It's like Microsoft app. Basically, it's like the Play Store, the iStore, but for coders. That's basically what GitHub is. So it's a GitHub repository is what they call them. All right, cool. So yeah, that's what you can do with this. You can basically scan images and sigils, and you can even add your open AI into it and start speaking and say, okay, what does this sigil mean? What does this symbol mean? Have a conversation with your LM. Yeah, I'm glad someone's mind is blown, bro, because that's how my mind was. I swear down, it's like I found Christmas. I can't believe I've clicked on this channel. I can't believe YouTube just put this in my lap and I clicked on it. Like I said, my mind is so distracted with actually non-spiritual things this week. Like I'm dealing with some family things and whatever, life is life, and as they say. So I wasn't even looking. I haven't watched nothing spiritual all week, quote unquote spiritual. And this just popped up and I was like, that can't be what I think it is. That can't be it. That can't be, nah. Boom, clicked and I was like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? So, all right, that's that one tool. Now this tool, yo, this one works. The one tool that I have set up the most, that I was playing with the most, is no pause or whatever they say. So is this one. No. Yo, I'm not sure if I can show that one, but that one's too advanced. What's this other tool? Where's that one? Maybe I Right, I've installed 5 tools today. Was that free? All right, cool. Yes, I must have got rid of it. All right, give me 1 second, people. I do actually want to show it to you. Worst case, I'll show you the video, but this will show you how poor I am at coding. So, all right, let's just do this. This should actually only take me about 30 seconds. But basically, there's another Cymatics tool that this person's built. And this was the first one I downloaded, so I must have just got rid of it by accident. But this was the first tool that I downloaded. So we are going to my notes. Where are we? There you go. Trying to get organized. There we go. All right, this shouldn't take me more than 30 seconds to start up. So he says, yo, file entrainment, Python's sigil analyzer. Which one is which now? Where are you? Sigil analyzer. Notice. No, it's not that one. It's not that one. Multi-channel 3D. Is this one? I don't think it's this one, Can't find the tool now. Where is it? Yeah. I'm trying not to anticlimax it, people. I try not to anticlimax it, people, because I swear down was the first one I downloaded. This was like first thing in the morning. So placement nodes, sigillate articles. Yeah, I think I might give up looking for it. I'll show you now. Okay, just whilst I'm stalling, I'll show you another tool. The one I weren't going to show you. I don't know how to work this tool, by the way. And it didn't quite work out exactly how I hoped. So I got it 99% done. Oh, my days. This tool is mad. Basically, this is a physical schematic device tool. So scan images while dreaming. Yeah. That's it, Jax. Yeah. Scanning images. Yo, I'm kidding a candy shop. There's things that I'm not saying because I'm like, I'm trying not to go down certain things. They've got other tools that I didn't download because I don't have the hardware. Some of the tools you need hardware for. So I don't quite have the hardware yet, but they have a. But I've always been looking at investing in this bit of hardware, which is basically an EEG tool, something called the Muse, which does brain scans. So I've obviously got this biocoherence tool, which does your energetic scan, mainly using your heartbeat and stuff like that. Basically your ECG. But then I've always been looking at an EEG tool, and they've got a tool that connects to an EEG and gives you, basically you can prove whether your right and left brain are in sync, like hemi-synced. Like they've got the tool for this, but you need the hardware, and the hardware costs like £200. They just came out with the latest version that costs like £300. So I'm not really in the mood to do that at the moment. But what this tool does is, imagine this is a bed. Yeah. If you could imagine that this is a bed, because they had another image, but the wrong image got loaded up. They mixed up the images. And you will basically place speakers on the bed. So you would lay someone on a bed or a pyramid, because obviously I've got this pyramid experience. And then it will tell you where to put the speakers, the magnets, and this is what I didn't want to say, the lights for healing. This tool here is mad. This tool here is mad. It will show you ratios, and that's what I'm trying to say. Like this other tool, like they already work to phi ratios. So they work to the Fibonacci, they work to phi ratios already. Like I've seen it in their programs, I've seen it in their code. Do you know what? Actually, it will give me an excuse. Let me go get this tool. Because I just need to get the name from it. Let me show you where you can actually get this data from, where you can download all this stuff. You can just do this stuff yourself. I said last week that I want to start a research group. People that are actually into, like, I'm about to release a couple of tools. I'm going to show you a couple more tools I'm going to get out of it. I'm going to show a tool that I'm going to release next week for free. I might charge for it. I haven't even decided. I might give a certain portion of away for it for free, and then maybe charge for a premium version. So let me just go into the GitHub repository. Here it is. So basically you just go here. That's what I said, trimodal. That's what he called it. So look, it's called the Einsof. You know what that is? Einsof Kabbalah language. So anyway, this is it. So I'll put this in the chat. That's the guy's website, obviously, as you can see. So if you want to download this stuff, I'm not teaching you how to download this stuff and install that. We are not about to do that. Don't be silly. But like, yeah, you can chat GTP it. I chat GTP'd it, and I'm not a coder, I'm not a programmer, but I'm patient. I will say that. And it worked. Every single tool that I've downloaded has worked, minus that one little image that wasn't showing properly. But look, they literally are building scalar wave quantum communication devices, biphilical hemispheric entrainment protocols for Hemi-Sync, and Einsof trimodal brainwave entrainment devices. So that's essentially what all of these devices are leading to. They will at some point probably come out with paid devices and stuff like that are going to obviously look more towards this kind of level. Sorry, where is it? The two outside up. I remember now. Yeah, that's going to look more like this level version, and maybe they come up with a version that is paid for, because obviously at the moment this is free. But for now, you could build on their technology that they've open sourced. I've not spoken to the company. I don't know what their vision is. I don't know what I have no idea about their vision, what they want to do in terms of charging. But at the moment, all of this stuff is for free. And these are what they're looking to do, EDMR light sequences, which is literally, anyone listened to my chat last week where I had this dream where I dreamt the future. So in last week, I basically spoke. Last week, basically, I basically spoke about this dream that I had that came true. In its weird way. I'm not gonna go through it all, but basically, I dreamt about this lady who just means nothing to me. I'm like, why is she in my dream? And then I said something to my cousin, who, when I was building these tools, you know, the spreadsheet tools, when I was building these tools, when I was basically building this. So I had just built this basically, and I spoke to my cousin. I said, look, we need to collaborate. My cousin's a sound engineer, and he's into like house music, dance music. He's a DJ. He's into that live. Shout out to Lamar. And I left a voice message to Lamar saying, I can visualize these lights, these lights that I've built. I can visualize it. And let me open up Fruity. I can visualize these lights. And then as I said that, this woman in the dream that I dreamt about walked past me. And then look, YouTube gives me what, and then what does YouTube do? YouTube then gives me that visual EDMR light sequence, which is literally what I was just saying to my cousin in the voice note when I dreamt that dream that then came true, or when I saw the woman in the shop where I had the dream, or very similar anyway, basically. And then we see the 369. Anyway, like I said, it was like a whole hour story that I broke that down into last week. So if you want to check that out, go check it out. So yeah, this is what they're doing. And quite honestly, whilst I really appreciate what they're doing, I've got my own technologies already. I've got my own stack, as they call it. So I've got my own hardware and software stack where I'm able to do something similar-ish, but with my own style. But then I'm also going to use their tools as well, because I love their tools at the moment until something better comes along. So yeah, this is basically where you go and get the details. You go into programs, by the way, just to be real specific. You go into programs, and I downloaded almost every single one of these tools. The one I didn't download was this one and this one, because this one you need this device called Muse. Basically, you need this device called Muse, which I can't see me not getting by the end of the year. I don't see how I don't get it by the end of the year. I'm going to be getting this Muse. I've got other reasons to get it. I've always wanted it, or wanted it for at least a couple of years. So anyway, the program was this Cymatics program. This is the one I downloaded first. Node frequency generator. So this is the one I downloaded. And now let me see if I can remind myself, because I can't remember what the file was called, essentially. So I'm not sure if I was looking at the right thing. So node frequency generator, and then go Control F, node placement generator. Yes, it's not that tool. All right, cool. Let me do it myself. All right, I feel like I can get this tool up. So if I can't get up in that next 20 seconds, sorry, 30 seconds, then I will literally quit while I'm behind. Program files, Python. No, that's the, I can't remember now. Oh, entrainment tools. Here you go. Node Cymatics. All right, cool. Here it is. All right, so whilst I'm doing that, let me get this up as well. All right, so then the other tool that I've built as well is here. So vector scope here, and then just let this load. So this is something called Fruity Loops, which is a music software. And so what I'm basically trying to do, by the way, just to be clear, is I'm recreating this. So there is a lady who produces these symbols. She produces these symbols. So she produced from the 432, she was able to get this symbol out. And from the 440, she was able to get this symbol out. So this is someone that I've been following for like about a year. And I've wanted to incorporate into my own again version of cymatics. So I've not fully set this up yet, but this does the same thing. So right now I'm playing like the note C, and it's creating a waveform shape. So at some point when I show this to you guys next week, I'm not gonna set it up fully, but yeah, when I show it to you guys, yeah, next week, you'll be able to, I'll be able to create these basically, or something similar-ish to that. And it's done through Fruity Loops, basically. So again, I'm just building a whole bunch of tools that will allow me to do cymatics. I'll just play you the video. I can't bother to get it up. So I'll just play you like the video for now, and then we'll bounce out of here. And then we're gone. What's that guy's video? Channel called Neural Awakenings eBayed. All right, cool. So again, this is a 2-minute video. I'm only gonna play like a few seconds of it because it's just quicker to get it that way. Yeah, this is the tool though. All right, we're not gonna play the audio either. But this is the tool here, by the way. This stuff on the right is just him explaining what's happening. It's called a Cialdini plate. Basically, where you can play the frequencies. Cymatics is converting frequencies into shapes, basically. And so this guy's built his version of a cymatics tool. And what I love about this is that you can input frequencies. So again, everything that I do is based on frequencies, the study of vibration. And in order to study vibration, you need to understand frequencies. So again, this is another cymatics tool. And as you can see here, the algorithm is based on the 5 ratio. So this is a 5 ratio pentagram. Imagine the what's the word? The combination of the power of those 2 words in a sentence. 5 ratio pentagram cymatics algorithm. So that's what you would be getting entrained on as you're looking. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff you could do with this. And this was actually the tool that I actually got up working. This was the first tool I got up working, and I got it working perfect. Like it's not hard for it to work. And so yeah, this tool is just like incredible. Again, it doesn't look pretty. I imagine at some point they'll make it look prettier. But for now, as just a raw understanding to look at shapes and nodes, and you can pause them in, and you can do fractals upon fractals, and yeah, like again, the creativity, the level of creativity with something like this, you know, I have at least 15 ideas. And I know I can get to like 15 ideas without even breaking a sweat. So yeah, that's about it basically. Really good time to end the stream. Thank you very much for watching. And yeah, tune in for next week. Next week we're going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to be releasing this calendar. So next week is the Sirius New Year. So next week is the Egyptian New Year, is the well, not all of South America, but parts of South America. Shout out to Jose Arguelles, Time in the Technosphere. So anyone that understands that we live in a binary star system with Sirius, and appreciates that, will want to tune in for next week, because next week, like I said, is the new year for people that pay homage to Sirius, or in the next few days, basically. So, yeah, happy New Year to everyone, and I'm gonna be releasing a calendar system to the public somehow. Not somehow. I know how to. I've built it already. There's nothing to build. Just about releasing it. So yeah, stay tuned for next week. Really enjoyed this session. Any questions, as always, hit me up on my email. I've got Linktree if you want reading, things like that. Yeah, my Linktree's got a link to everything. Contact me as well. Any experiments that you're looking to do, or you're interested in actually, taking on some of this research load, then yeah, hit me up, and yeah, we can have a conversation. So yeah, until next week, peace out, love and light, harmony, coherence, love life. Peace.